My sister can have kids, but my brother-in-law desperately wants a family with our DNA. Now she wants me to be a surrogate mother. But since I said no, my brother-in-law is stalking me until he can get me pregnant. Posted by user for Dagger Times. I 3-F have an identical twin sister. Let's call her Emily for this story. Our mother tragically passed away during childbirth, and we were raised by our father. Emily has been married to Ben for 7 years, and I've been with Jack for 4 years. One thing I've always known about my sister is that she dreamed of motherhood. Even as kids, she was obsessed with baby names, nursery themes, and wedding plans. I, on the other hand, was more into reading and outdoor adventures. I'm now a flight attendant and trying to get published as an author. My sister never worked, though. After high school, we went to college, where she met Ben. She became a stay-at-home wife once they got married. I knew for a while that Emily had been struggling with fertility. She had 1 miscarriage and has been unable to conceive again, despite spending a fortune on IVF treatments. After 5 years with no success, they've started considering alternatives. Emily is not interested in adoption and insists on having a biological child. About 3 weeks ago, she came to my house, and we were just hanging out. Watching TV, she suddenly asked me for something serious, and I could tell she was nervous. She asked if I could be her surrogate. I froze for a moment before asking for clarification. She explained that she wanted me to carry her child. I told her that I wasn't interested in being a mother, largely due to our childhood experiences, but I'd be happy to donate eggs to her. I couldn't, however, carry the baby myself. When I said this, she got furious. Her face turned bright red as she screamed, accusing me of being jealous and selfish for not helping her. She's always said she wants a big family, and now I'm starting to wonder if I'd be expected to carry her children every time. She told me if I couldn't do this one thing for her, I didn't deserve to call myself her sister. She even broke a picture of us and stormed out. Since then, she's been texting me old pictures and childhood diaries, saying I'm preventing her from having a family. She says I need to think about the bigger picture. Jack refuses to weigh in, saying it's too personal and he doesn't want to influence my decision. Honestly, this is the longest we've gone without speaking, and I'm starting to feel guilty for not just giving in. Am I wrong for refusing to be a surrogate for my sister? Update: I've been reading all the comments, and I want to thank everyone for the support. I feel a little better knowing I'm not the villain here, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't leaning toward just doing it. The tension with my sister is unbearable, and I feel like I can't even explain how uncomfortable it is. To answer some frequent questions, money is not an issue. Our mother left us sizable trusts, and Emily and Ben are financially stable as well. The problem is Emily's stubborn insistence on having a child that shares both their DNA, and her unwillingness to consider other options. Emily's inability to carry a child is due to an accident we were in, where she was in the front seat with our father. The crash caused severe complications for her, and her body is no longer able to handle pregnancy. Egg retrieval has also been unsuccessful. Doctors won't approve me as a surrogate because I haven't had children myself. We're having a family dinner this Thursday watching football, as usual. I'm sure this topic will come up if Emily attends, and I'm planning to address it then. Update 2 days later. So, I promised an update, and here it is. My dad called me last night and asked me to come over for dinner. He wanted to talk about everything, so I went. I'm sure this conversation will keep evolving, but I'll keep you all posted. I want to start by saying thank you so much for all the comments and advice. Some of you are rude to not only me, but to my sister and boyfriend as well. But I still appreciate the help. I didn't even ask what it was about when my dad called. I figured he had spoken to Emily, based on the comments. I know you won't be happy with my decision, but I talked to my boyfriend about what it would look like if I went through with it. He told me he loved me and would support me no matter what, but he wouldn't stand by while my sister made me feel like trash if I was doing this out of pressure. He said he couldn't support me in that case, which I completely understand. When we got to my dad's for dinner, Emily and her husband were already there. I greeted them both, but only Emily replied. Her husband gave me the most disgusting look and only spoke to my boyfriend. My dad sat us down at the table, and there was this awkward silence tension, so thick you could cut it with a knife. He finally said, "Someone talk." We need to resolve this before the game tomorrow night. Since my dad loves football, I started by telling Emily I did some research and now had more concerns. I asked her what being a surrogate would really look like. She just said, "Are you agreeing to it?" When I told her no, she broke down in tears. I asked if she knew a doctor would deny me from being a surrogate since I've never carried a pregnancy to term. She said she knew but would send my boyfriend and me to a fertility center where we could pretend to be a couple. And once I was inseminated, I would transfer to her for ongoing care. My dad stepped in, saying asking me to do something a doctor wouldn't sign off on was a terrible way to begin motherhood. He didn't seem on board, but didn't want to take sides. He asked why she was so against the idea of a surrogate. And that's when her husband jumped in, saying, "Don't berate my wife with these stupid questions." I tried calling her back, but there was no answer. It was just a normal day until we got to my dad's house for football. As the game started, my sister walked in and asked my dad if he could come outside to talk too. Ben, my dad refused, saying the game was on, and Ben could either wait until the commercial break or apologize, like a man in front of everyone who witnessed him disrespecting me. She took a breath, tried to explain herself, and bring up some past issues, but it only made my dad angrier. He told her he didn't raise her to make herself small or weak for a man. He apologized for failing her as a father, and then she stormed out without a word. After the game, I went out to my car, and I found a flat tires and a broken window. My dad used his truck to tow my car into the garage, and told me to take his other vehicle. While he fixed mine, he told me not to worry, and I could come get my car whenever. I tried calling my sister again, but she didn't answer. I texted her saying I couldn't believe this was where we were. Loving a man should never come at the cost of destroying your family in the process. She texted back saying my family was already destroyed, and I wasn't willing to help put it back together. I tried calling her again, but still no answer. On my way home, I noticed a car following me. When I got a better look, I saw it was her mother-in-law's car. I know because of a very distinct car decal. I freaked out and called my boyfriend, asking him to meet me. When I pulled into my driveway, the car followed and parked behind me. Luckily, my boyfriend showed up just as Ben got out of the car and started walking toward me. Ben immediately started yelling, saying he just wanted to apologize. He and my boyfriend got into a brief altercation before Jeff jumped back into his mom's car and sped away. He did hit my boyfriend's car in the process, but it didn't seem intentional, and his car is still drivable. After this, I didn't feel comfortable staying at home, so I packed a bag and went to my boyfriend's place, not planning to return soon. My dad added a camera and floodlight to the back door and driveway, but honestly, I'm not sure I want to go back, although I know I will eventually. Yes, I reached out to my sister, but no, she hasn't replied or responded at all that night or the next day. After that, I began noticing a red car following me one day and a black one the next. You might think I'm paranoid, but I swear I noticed them turn toward the police station at my dad's instruction, only to turn off once they got close. On Sunday, I went to brunch with a few friends to discuss wedding details, and the waiter told me my husband was up front and that it was an emergency. Thinking it was my boyfriend, I went up, only to find my brother-in-law there. I tried to keep calm and quietly asked him to leave, or I'd call my dad. He said everything had gone too far, and he just wanted to apologize. We were standing in the doorway, so I suggested we step outside to avoid causing a scene. Once outside, he apologized for calling me AB*********** and said he didn't mean it. He told me I didn't understand how hard it had been for him, and I interrupted, telling him his struggles didn't matter to me, because his behavior had become too chaotic and abusive, not only toward my sister but to everyone. He said he understood how I felt, but he left before the police could arrive. A report was filed 2 days ago after he tried to approach me at the airport terminal, claiming he was my husband and there was an emergency. Same as in the restaurant. He was arrested after refusing to leave, but of course, he was bailed out and started sending me the most vile messages. My sister did leave after the scene he caused at my work, and now she's staying with our dad. But she's been asking me to drop the charges, making excuses. If I don't make things easier for him, she says, we'll both die before he gives up. which is truly disturbing. I blocked his number, but now all his messages are coming from random texting apps. I told the police, but they said there's no way to prove it's really him unless he acts on it. So until then, nothing can be done. I'm constantly scared. My boyfriend drives me to work now, and I'm taking even more precautions. I can barely sleep, and I send my sister screenshots every time he picks me up or drops me off. I feel trapped, living with my boyfriend now, though I'm not sure if he enjoys it. We had an argument recently over the AC temperature, and I feel like my life is spiraling. I can't breathe. Third update, 1 week later. I don't even know where to begin, but those strange numbers continue. I can't confirm it, but I feel like someone is following me, especially when I go to Dunkin' for coffee. I always feel the blue car behind me, and I've reached the point where I've taken a leave from work and completely moved in with my fiancé. I ran into him a few days ago at the grocery store, and he came up behind me, rubbing my back. When I screamed and tried to get attention, he pretended nothing happened. He's now living with my dad and says it's not him. He believes things went too far, and he needs to leave the state to clear his head. I don't know how to convince my sister that he's lying. The police refuse to help because he hasn't done anything criminal. I feel like I have to get seriously hurt before anyone will do something. He rented an apartment and then asked me why I felt like he wanted his space back. The next moment, he proposed to me. I'm literally engaged now, and I feel a lot more secure in my fiance's apartment. I posted on Reddit explaining how my brother-in-law is escalating things. I didn't handle the situation well in the grocery store, though. He broke into my apartment, damaged my bedroom, and broke a window. My sister's been telling me she went to the police after she investigated. She's concerned for my safety, which is why she went to the authorities. She said she apologized for putting pressure on me, admitting that she didn't know what to do. He told her she had no choice but to act immediately, and she didn't resist much. My dad said he thinks my sister just needed someone to say it to her for her to realize the truth. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm relieved that she finally made the right decision. The police came to my fiance's place and arrested him. I had more margaritas than I should have that night at the restaurant. The detective told me I would be getting a call from the DA's office, which I expect will be tomorrow. Honestly, based on how everything's gone so far, I doubt they'll hold him fully accountable. But I'm hoping that having his phone will provide solid proof that he sent me those texts, which could add to his punishment. I have my first flight back for work this week, and I'm excited to return to my routine. Today's football games were fantastic, and I was able to watch them with my sister, dad, and fiancé. I really hope I never have another reason to update this again. Thank you all so much. Talk to your selfish daughter about why she can't help her sister. That completely shifted the mood. My boyfriend started yelling at him for calling me a bitch. My dad told him he couldn't disrespect his daughters in his home, and things blew up. Emily was crying, begging me to do this favor for her. I told her if I could trade places with her, I would, but I was scared and just didn't want to die. I think that was the first time I'd ever said that out loud. After that, we couldn't get anywhere. My dad told Emily's husband to leave, since he couldn't control himself and refused to apologize. As he was walking out, Emily told him she would meet him in the car and asked me to talk to her outside. On the porch, she apologized for her husband calling me a bitch, saying they were just on edge and everything had been stressful. I told her she shouldn't apologize for him and we'd figure something out. She begged me to reconsider, saying I didn't get it. I pressured her for more, and she finally admitted that her in-laws made a cruel joke at a dinner about her being a murderer after her miscarriage. She said she asked Ben why he didn't stand up for her, and he said because it was true. He also made weird comments about her not being able to make up for the loss and how excited he was to see what their child would look like. She said he had never been that excited, and that's when she came up with the idea of me carrying the child. It was clear he was fully on board with it, but Emily seemed to think it was her idea. She said she hadn't seen him so excited since their loss and just needed my help to get everything back to normal. I tried explaining to her that nothing would ever be normal again, and that what she was asking me to do was the wrong thing. But Ben started honking the horn, rushing her to the car, and she said she'd call me later. I feel like I may lose my sister. But I'm now even unwilling to donate my eggs for her to have a baby with him. I looked into the egg donation process, and wow, it's not what I expected. I want her to divorce him. I'll never help her have a child with that man. I genuinely think I'd be a surrogate for her to be a single mom before. I'd let her use my eggs or carry his child. I had no idea his family was pushing this much guilt on her. I've literally been checking my phone every time it rings, knowing she'd call soon. And I'll have to tell her I'm terrified I'll lose my sister. But I just can't do this. I probably won't update anymore. But thanks again for all the help. Second update, 1 week later. I know I said I wouldn't update again, but so much has happened. And I can't explain the weird relief I feel writing this all out. Many of you warned me to be cautious around Ben for fear he could become violent. And I should have listened. I thought I knew my family well enough, but I was naive. The morning after Ben called me a bitch, my sister called me back, but I missed the call.